all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hi, I'm Lee, an ex-Catholic.
And I'm Nathan. Jesus is a cover-up for mushrooms.
It's true.
And you're listening to
They're Here podcast.
A discussion
Dissection.
and disembowelment.
And diocese. Of all things horror.
Feel.
And the macabre. Corn and the macabre. Jesus Christ on the cross.
Oh my god, I gotta make that a
Leaping
thing.
lizards. Yeah.
Okay, there's some AI art that I came across as Jesus as corn on a cob, and I live for it. It was great.
And it wasn't Jesus on the cross, it would have been somebody else.
Okay, look, listen. I was prepared to come here and tear you a new one because last week you basically were just like, oh, it's a horror movie, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But this afternoon, when we were chatting, you actually did make a stronger argument for it. And I began to see it the way it is. So, like, can you just, like...
You had a revelation of sorts?
Shut the fuck up. If these are more... you get 2 more pun counts, and then I'll punch you in the throat.
It's the Christ movie. I'm going to make hella puns. That doesn't also count. By the way, we're recording on my giant illustrated from a church stored in a tabernacle at least once. One of 300 made.
Hooky.
Golden embroidered.
Cookie.
Golden embellished cross.
Bible.
Yeah. Bible.
Wow.
I have a cross and I have a crucifix in my hand also.
Hooky,
I'm wearing a
cookie,
Pazuzu shirt.
Hallowookie, Pazuki.
Ding dang dookie. Christ on a crookie.
Van Cartier.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I don't think that like
sorry, we're doing Passion of the Christ.
Finally, this is
Directed
supposed to
by
be our
Mel
fucking...
Gibson.
That's so funny to me. But like, which is kind of weird and kind of in poor taste because he blames certain people for Jesus dying, and I don't.
And in the movie, he makes no qualms about it.
No, he doesn't. This movie is like borderline like a racist drawing of a Jewish person, but I love it. So yeah, I always kind of joke that this is a horror movie and stuff, but like I don't think that like I would go into Extravision and find this in the horror section.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't be like, what the fuck if I did find it in a horror section? Because this just takes, if you take away the theological aspect of this, which for some reason matters, like I don't think, like religion is all about supernatural happenings and ghosts and visions and raising
God
from the dead and God
and
and the devil and demons. Yeah. But I think this has enough tenets of what I would consider necessary for a horror movie to qualify. Like, it has intentional atmosphere. There are scenes that are intentionally there to scare you and horrify you. There's jump scares in this movie. There's demons. There is intentionally, like, horrific imagery. There's prolonged torture and bloodshed. And... yeah, I think like that qualifies enough. Also, like the soundtrack is like really, really intense. Like this wouldn't go amiss in a horror movie. You know?
Oh, Jesus.
Gross. I'm not even joking. That is, I've said it on this podcast before. I think that's my favorite quote from Drag Race of all time. And the context as well is just her saying that on stage. Like that's her reaction to getting eliminated. It's just gross.
So... it is interesting with the way you sort of speculated, because at the beginning, the way you were describing this as a horror movie, it is very, I'm going to say surface level. Like, hey, there's a jump scare. Makes it a horror movie.
But that's enough for me.
But to me, because of the way you said it to me over the phone, I was like, oh, I didn't actually think of like that. So what you were saying, the way you were describing it was, first of all, there was atmosphere set up. There was intentional jump scares, of course. But there are certain scenes that are meant to evoke terror and fear in you. And that's due to, first of all, atmosphere.
What did you
Second
say?
of all...
It's due to... Sorry.
Not today, Satan.
Due to the sequel.
So I do think that you are giving more of a stronger... Yeah, girl, fucking move that fucking shit. I swear to God.
If y'all know, you know, putting a pillow behind your headboard.
So I do think you are making a stronger argument for it in that sense.
Yeah.
Do I still wholeheartedly disagree with you? No, but I do... I'm in the majority here where you would see it as not a horror movie.
And that's fine. I'm not expecting people to necessarily agree with me, but I think this is an episode where we're reflecting the two other tenets of our podcast.
Macabre.
Fear and macabre.
Yeah.
Because if you just take this as like a very short synopsis...
It's Jesus on the corner macabre.
Man starts a cult is shut down. but seriously, that's literally like how it goes. Man starts
That's
a
how
cult.
religions start.
Man starts a cult, talks to a ghost in the sky, is killed by Romans, nailed to a piece of wood, is a zombie.
What did I do that was unchristian?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying seriously though. I think like, and then like even having to say like, oh, if you take away the theological aspect, then like you can see it easier as a horror movie. I feel like that like it shouldn't even be necessary because of movies like Stigmata or The Exorcist or Saint Maud, whatever. I'm literally saying this as I wave around a crucifix. One of my like 20 crucifixes. Yeah.
Wow.
Also, this movie is gorgeous. I don't give a fuck.
It is. I have to say, these opening scenes are, or sort of, shall we say, the established... If we're going to, like, break it down, spoiler alert, the main character dies at the end. Let's put it into context. If you have not seen Passion of the Christ, basically this recounts the last few hours of Jesus' life.
This is Fire Walk With Me, but for Jesus instead of Laura.
Oh my God. Stop that right now. Don't even fucking go down that route, man. Don't do it.
Or if you look at it that way, that Fire Walk With Me is just Passion of the Laura Palmer.
Mama, this is garbage.
No.
These are tight.
So yeah, it's a recounting of the final few hours of Jesus' life. We're basically at the moment, at the sort of the beginning of this film, you have the whole Garden of Gethsemane moment, and at the same time, Judas is with the Pharisees and the
No, I lie.
tribal leaders and religious leaders of the Jewish people there, as well as Pontius Pilate's representative.
Actual human chair of the week.
So basically you're having the two scenes run together, and the one moment that has always stopped in my head about Judas receiving the gold coins is they are thrown at him, and in slow motion he catches them.
In a very 300 shot though.
Right? It's
they
great.
literally like slow-mo action shot across the room, you know? It's that
it's
shot
fully
in
lit by fire.
Inglourious
It's great.
Bastards where he flicks the cigarette.
Yeah.
You know?
I really do love these shots, these beautiful lineups. I have to, with given to Mel Gibson as a director,
Famous anti-Semite.
however you want to frame that,
Uh-huh.
get it, because it's a nice frame of film. I do think these two scenes are basically the dichotomies of each other, because at one point you have Jesus at his lowest point, and then you have Judas at his lowest point, because Jesus is currently suffering a crisis of faith. He knows he's going to die. He's aware of what Judas has done.
And Jesus Christ in the face.
Exactly. And then Judas being obviously at his lowest point, feeling like he's betraying one of his oldest friends, because out of everything, believe it or not, Judas is the one that helps find the rest of the 12 apostles and the disciples.
Apostles, yeah. No, you got it right.
I think
same thing.
Because like basically where he sees himself right now is he is completely first of all destroying his own faith because he's followed this man for years, and then second of all betraying the Son of God, the way his apostles believe him to be. Yeah. And then I think the two dichotomies are really, really awesome, you know?
Yeah, for real. I will say that like I love the I love that we also do kind of get an extended like following of Judas in this movie. Yes. And that like Judas kind of
how he's tormented
now is kind of synonymous with like the devil or whatever, where it's like if you're a Judas you're Bible, just like evil. Or no, I actually wasn't there. I was born in 96. But thanks for
Darling.
that insight. You Galilean bitch. But no, I love... now, Judas is one of the contenders for Human Chair of the Week in this movie.
You love a bad boy.
I do love a bad boy. Also he's gorgeous. But also, Pontius Pilate.
We'll get to it.
A Roman governor, bro.
Can you imagine the bathhouses?
Stunning. And you know there's a foreskin there. Like, the only one in this whole movie. But then just like...
You know good and goddamn well that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai and said, yo, we gotta cut the top of your dick off.
Yeah.
There had to be one guy going, now let me get this straight.
I'm gonna start a new religion so we don't have to do that. But yes, we have two options for Human Chair of the Week. Now...
You want to jump straight into that right now?
No, we'll get to it when Punctius gets there. Now, Jesus...
very punctual.
Get out of my house. Now, Jesus, played by Jim Caviezel, who is huge in the Catholic community. They did prosthesis on him. They gave him a fake nose and they CGI'd his to make him look more.
I'm actively
ethnic.
cringing.
Yeah. And they CG'd his eyes brown versus giving him contacts because Mel Gibson said that contacts would be distracting.
If I may, again, don't forget, ethnicities in certain places are of darker origin. We know for a fact that the historical Jesus
sounds scary.
I mean it in
a
the
more insidious origin.
In the literal sense,
yeah.
Skin tone. We know white Jesus was never a thing.
Now everybody in this movie looks Italian as fuck.
Of course they do. Of course
we
they
got
do.
Monica Bellucci, we got Jim Caviezel.
We love Monica Bellucci.
Oh,
deep friend of the pod. We got to give it to.
We actually haven't covered 93 Dracula yet.
She's
Monica
Bellucci.
I have a ball popping out. Look over here.
So the other scene is the Garden of Gethsemane, which is, as I was saying earlier, this is where Jesus is suffering the crisis of faith.
Yeah.
His lifetime. He's questioning his authority. He's questioning his existence. He's questioning his role in his Father's plan, God's plan.
We do get a lot of Jesus being like, "Oh my God, if you can do this in any other way, could you just?"
But wouldn't you knowing that figuratively taking on the sins of the world, but physically enduring hours and hours and hours of torture, then nailed to the cross and subsequently stabbed in the side until you are dead. If I knew for sure
that I was who I say I am, and if I wasn't, why would I say I am? I think. Well, no, I probably wouldn't be able to go through with it because I'm very fragile and petite.
But that's exactly what he was feeling at the time, and that's what really comes across in the scene. It's when he goes to leave his disciples, that's when Judas fucks off. He goes out on his own and he begs, he cries, he whines. I love the moonlight shots, saying
God is represented by the sun and the moon in this movie,
and
there's a moment though where
shows up.
Oh God! So this, I said to you earlier on the phone, this is top 3. Yeah. I'm not going to put in chronological order, but this has to be one of my favorite depictions of Satan in film. Just because that's the thing. I don't mind a Dave Grohl in Pick a Destiny, hooves, red skin, horns. But I love the idea of kind of a true fallen angel, androgynous, beautiful, tempting, because that's kind of the point. This androgynous figure of Satan, kind of
played
tempting
by
Jesus.
Rosalina Celentano.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an Italian.
Just. No, but I love it. Just this, the fabric that Satan is wearing in this is different to anything anybody else is wearing.
Just this genderless,
alien almost.
Alien looking thing. And the nails, there's something about the nails that kind of weirded me out, because they don't look like normal nails. They looked like the nail encompassed around the end of the finger.
Yeah, like they're almost like a
way.
talon or something.
Yeah, fucking loved it. And the like you were saying, that cloak, that heavy wool.
It's like a different kind of fabric than everybody
Yeah.
else is wearing. Everybody else is kind of wearing like borderline like burlap in this. Like
Yeah.
when they put the I'll say like the smock on Jesus later, it's like I can feel
the heaviness of the fabric
that against the injuries and
Yes.
how like
exactly.
like how great and that would be against your skin even
Yeah.
without injury. But Satan is wearing this like almost like luxurious, like borderline like Jedi kind of fabric, like this like heavy wool or whatever. Look at us getting into the fabric of Passion of the
No,
Christ.
but like it's just it's part of those kind of senses thing, and it's actually a tribute to like how well it was shot, because like the fact that you were saying immediately that as soon as he's like whipped or this or that, like when that heavy fabric goes on him, you can feel that against those lacerations.
But you can see like the weaving of it. It's like really like rough and kind of like rigid. But I just love how Satan is shot in this movie, because they are. I'll refer to Satan as they, because like they're
we want to remain respectful. We didn't ask their gender.
They're so set apart from everybody in this movie. Like we always get Satan in kind of crowd shots. We nearly never get like a full body shot.
Yeah.
So it's always Satan, and Satan is just floating through crowds or is appearing behind people's heads, or even with this Judas scene, it's all the children who are like kind of torturing and like berating the fuck out of Judas.
I think they're like calling him monster or something like that.
Glee, or whatever they say. They're like throwing stones at him, and they chase him out of the city walls. Yeah. Where he eventually gets to a dead donkey, which is like kind of focused on. It's like very symbolic because Jesus arrived on a donkey. And Judas, throughout Jesus' judgment with the Pharisees and stuff, he's like getting more and more like physically irritated, and his skin is starting to blister and kind of decay. Like he's almost rotten by the end. Like he's got like, he looks like a leper. But you know what I mean? He almost looks like a leper right before he dies. And there's a shot that always used to bug me where he like rubs his nose on a pillar, but it's like because he's like physically starting to break down. But I think this scene where he hangs himself is so just like, you can see himself accepting hell for himself. Yeah. You know, where he sees the rope around the donkey's mouth, and this donkey, I love this prosthetic for some reason, where it's like, or this like,
do you fucking mind?
A TIE fighter fly past my window there. What the fuck was that noise? I want to make note of that. 17 minutes 27 or 29 seconds. I want to listen back to that. You can just see him kind of being like, yeah, okay, because it's like you kind of get the sense that Judas, it's like, does it knowing he's wrong.
Yes, so this was an interesting piece of factoid that I found so interesting, and this was after I had read a comic and just entitled Judas, which is seen from the point of view of Judas during the last few hours of Christ's life, and him as he goes into hell for damnation. And basically the way it happens is Judas is questioning the fact that did I have the free will, or was I influenced to do this from the beginning? Yeah, like, was this my destiny to
exactly Jesus?
Like, and he says that his questions are always like, if you died for our sins, did you also die for mine? Yeah. And if so, why was I the one that was chosen to do it if God was going to damn me in the first place anyway? So why did he create? Is that, like, again, it's sort of forcing those questions back onto the creator rather than the created.
Well, because we see that throughout this story that Jesus like predicts all these things. He says that Peter will betray him 3 times, or he will deny him 3 times before it even happens. And then we get to see Peter go through when people are like, "Oh, I've seen you with Jesus, like you know him," and he's like, "No, I've never seen him before in my life," and he denies him 3 times, and then
before the cock crows.
Listen. But then like Mary sees him, and I do love that all the apostles refer to her as mother. Yes. And she sees him, and she goes to touch his face, and he's like, "I'm not worthy," and like the emotion in his face where he's literally just like, oh, like he's so sorry or whatever. And he won't allow Mary to touch him.
Yeah,
and then he leaves, you know.
Yeah, he leaves for... Technically, in the history books, Peter fucks off for the longest period of time to reflect and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets forgiven when Jesus rises again. Because Jesus tells him, you're the one that will carry on my will, and you'll start the church, and blah, blah, blah. Upon this bedrock you'll build my church, unless you'll bring it down upon itself. All that kind of quote bullshit. That mysterious prophecy that they had for the Catholic Church.
Don't lie, you were there.
I was there, it was great.
Peter was a real big drinker. Yeah. Actually, just to touch on that, I do like the idea that, like, and this has actually been brought up on, like, Rogan and stuff like that before, because he's very interested in all that kind of stuff. And I think, like,
Jesus was a cover for shrooms.
But you know what I mean? I think a lot of history can be, like, I think a lot of history can kind of be further explained by the fact, or like, it makes a lot more sense when you realize that, like, certain cultures have practices of psychedelics and certain roots and things like this, like the burning bush. That can totally be explained by
there's a cream for that
being by being on shrooms and being like, holy fuck, bro, that bush is talking to me, bro.
Yeah.
I heard the voice of God. Because that's the thing, even now people witness, or people claim to witness when they're on shrooms, is talking to aliens or a higher power or God or spirits or something like that.
Moses was looking at that tree after suggesting the mushrooms. Colours were flashing, and this is what he was seeing.
Or like, what is it, Elijah that's visited by angels?
Enoch.
Enoch
is the guy that climbs the ladder.
Yeah,
with all the spinning wheels, and seeing the goat head, and
who is it that's visited by a host of angels though? Might be Elijah, because Elijah is also mentioned in this movie, because they're asking Jesus, like, because they're accepting the fact that there have been like descendants of God in this movie, where they're saying like, no, you can't be related to him because he was carried off to heaven. There's no way you can be related to X, Y, and Z. I didn't take note of those names.
You're a terrible scholar.
So you don't know either. But, and you were there. But yeah, I think
I was one of the angels.
But I think like a lot of that can be explained, or kind of explained away when you think of the idea that psychedelics have kind of always been around, and the idea that like people had visions or experiences with these beings through either drinking like wine that was fermented too long and
or grains
tripped the fuck out. Exactly, that's how Salem happened. You know, those chicks were eating rotten bread. You know, and they were all accused of fucking. That's a little girl on a motorcycle in a dressing gown
in the rain with no helmet on.
No, it's okay. She has her hood up.
Oh, of course, makes sense.
Well, because you wouldn't want to get wet. Which is my only concern. Now that's a quote from Jesus. But yeah, the idea of having all these visions and like seeing these things, even like Native Americans and stuff like that have
taken like, ayahuasca
and like peyote and things like that.
Ayahuasca.
No, see the idea, like I'm okay with acid and stuff like that because like that's fun, and acid doesn't make me throw up or poop.
But ayahuasca connects two parts of your brain that are not meant to be connected.
I know, but it also makes you throw up and poop. And
I'm fine with that.
Nathan, okay, I'm going to explain it to you guys. So, not the last time I did acid, the time before that, I had to poop, and it was so scary, bro. It wasn't cute, because I was in, I won't say whose house, just because I don't know if they want that revealed.
But you're happy telling the whole world that you did take acid. Okay.
Well, yeah, because
alright, okay, mama.
Because that's my business. You know, I don't expose anybody.
How dare you?
But there was like, it was like hellish almost. Because like, I don't know, see, it's gonna sound like an oxymoron because I'm talking about pooping or whatever. But like, we
went from the Passion of the Christ
to pooping on acid.
Holy shit!
Yes.
This is probably the motherlode of all diverging, like...
Oh, see, now I want to
You know-
not tell the story, but I've dug a hole for
You
myself.
might as well.
Because to me, pooping is like the grossest thing anybody can do, which is why I rarely ever do
Take
it.
a note. 22 minutes onwards.
It's one of the grossest things I think people can do outside of like murder and rape. But doing it and then being on acid and just being like, this is so embarrassing is like not cute. So the idea of being on ayahuasca, like when Katya did ayahuasca, she went to Mexico and had a shaman and all that kind of stuff like that, and everybody that was there had to wear diapers.
You do it, yeah.
But they had to wear diapers and have a bucket each. And then it's just the idea of being around a bunch of people who are also like, but then also like throwing up. I'm like, you're a freak.
Just being a solid toad.
So Passion of the Christ. No, I won't ask you to remove that.
What was it?
I'm a nice girl.
22 minutes to 25 minutes.
Listen, everybody poops except me.
Yeah.
I have been surgically removed. Like an abortion.
A colostomy bag. For your asshole.
Exclusively. Pissing, I'll piss all day in front of people. But, no, I don't poop.
Great.
See, the only reason I pooped then is because I was on drugs. Yeah, see, that was an exception. But, so I don't poop. So let's talk about Jesus.
What are you doing?
Okay, right. So this is the part where it goes full on Caravaggio, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's literally a painting.
It's
we get to the court of Pontius
gorgeous.
Pilate.
Yeah.
See, this is the toss-up in my head now. Pontius Pilate, Judas, which are arguably the two villains in this story.
You're always there for a bad boy.
It just Pontius Pilate with the shaved head and the centurion armor and all the Romans in this are wearing But I mean, all the Romans in this are wearing like t-shirts, and chest plates. But I don't know. I think like he looks like what I want people to think. I think Putin looks like when I say that. I think he's
Jesus Christ!
When I say that, I think he's sexy. No, it's
God.
he's. I don't know. I think he's gorgeous in this movie, and like even
what was the reason?
Well, I think he's also sexy in this movie because of how he interacts with Claudia, his wife, because she is almost borderline a prophetess in this movie, where she's kind of like, don't fucking condemn the Galilean, like, don't do it.
You'll get a rise out of it.
Because she's woken up, as Jesus is getting arrested, she's having a nightmare and then is literally like woken up like this, and Pontius Pilate is like checking in on her or whatever, and I want
just
that
call him
bedroom.
Pilate.
No.
I'm going to say Pontius Pilate every time.
Oh, Pilate.
Say that 5 times fast.
Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate, Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate. Come! You wish that was a fan right now.
That's literally what I did on Halloween that year. I had a giant crucifix and held it like a little wooden sword.
Oh, God. You were just beyond blasphemous at this point.
Like...
Oh my God.
No, I wouldn't. Not the shape.
So which is it?
So is it
So
Judas,
is it
or
Judas or
Pilate?
Pilate?
It's Pilate.
It's Pilate?
Yeah.
You sure?
Let's talk about it for a minute because I want to come up with a good one. So, Claudia.
If I may say, the way Claudia reacts to like Jesus being brought in, it's just like,
here's some tells.
I'm gonna be honest, right? I want this reaction. The way she reacts is when some black guy on The Bachelor walks in with like 5 or 6 white women, and all the other bachelorettes are looking going.
Yeah, it's like,
I want Claudia to react the exact same way as Jesus walks in.
Yeah, that Galilean is kind of fine.
Even with the nose.
But also, is she not literally like the most Italian woman you've ever seen?
Oh my God! I mean, if you thought
Claudia.
Monica Bellucci was Italian, darling, the woman who plays Claudia.
But Claudia is kind of.
It is what it is.
Claudia is kind of given more to do in this movie than she is in the Bible because she's kind of just Pilate's wife.
Yeah.
But in this, she's like straight up a prophetess / almost Christian. she's like,
she woke up and this is what she heard.
Seriously. Don't kill Jesus, please. And like,
he says there's this Nazarene coming in. She looks at him.
Yes, she knew that. But so he's brought in, and
Nazarene.
What I don't get is every year Pilate releases a prisoner back.
It's part of a Roman holiday. Where they're it's part of a Roman holiday tradition where one of the prisoners is released for the sake of charity and forgiveness and blah blah. So it's just one of those things. But that came up right around the time of obviously Jesus being arrested, and the Pharisees and obviously the older Jewish priests and things like that, the rabbis and stuff, were basically just like, no, fuck him. Save the murderer.
Yeah, because he's like,
Barabbas! Give us Barabbas!
Yeah. And Barabbas, or Barabba, however, is kind of like the grossest dude ever.
Well, yeah.
He's got like one white eye and like brown teeth, and he's just like a cartoon rapist. You know, it's just like gross. And then he gets released, and he does like to one of the Romans. And they're all kind of like, fuck yeah, Barabbas. And then it's like, oh, gross. But then he gets down into the crowd. He's like, ah. And everybody just like parts.
Yeah,
no one wants to
just
even
separate
him. But this scene, the Pharisees are kind of like, no, fuck this dude. You know? But the Romans even kind of, at the start, are kind of like, what the fuck? Because like Mary Magdalene kind of goes up to one of the Romans, and it's like, they've arrested him. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, who is him? And the Romans are kind of like, I don't know, in charge but kind of clueless. Like they don't really know what's going on, like amongst the people. They
sort of feel like drones that are just randomly buzzing about the city until like they're directly intervening in like Jesus' torture and things like that. But they sort of borderline come across, as you said, like clueless to everything that's going on. Yeah. Which, to be fair, they're basically just the police. You didn't hear that from me, but the policemen.
But then also I'm looking at it in the way where I'm like, these are also two completely different faiths.
Yes.
Like these are monotheistic people and polytheistic people, where it's like, I don't even consider your God a God.
I am the way versus the sacred feminine.
Exactly, like I don't even consider your God a thing. Yeah. We're like exactly like you're saying, like we're just like the police here at the time. So they're almost like kind of not taking it seriously, and then the Pharisees are able to kind of convince the Romans that you can just put it down.
I want to do it quietly. Shut
up. So the Romans are kind of easily convinced as people who are telling them the information about Jesus that they're just crazy, or it's like he's just some cult leader.
They're fearing a revolt,
which is inevitable on either side.
Oh, it is, because I mean, like after this, you have, I think it's about 70 to 100 years after Christ's death, Christ's followers became so big that it threatened
70-foot tall apostles.
But like Christ's following became so large that it threatened to tear Rome too, because there were murders and burnings and all of this type of thing that were happening. Yeah, there was a revolution, and that's when Constantine decided to convert to Christianity on his deathbed, therefore unifying Rome under Christianity.
And then this is kind of where Claudia is kind of telling Pilate, where she's like, look,
this
like,
will happen if you fuck up.
And he's like, oh, but like if I condemn Jesus and kill Jesus, like there'll be an uprising on his side, and if I don't, all of the people that are already here in this court are gonna rip the fucking place apart. Yeah, you know. So he's kind of stuck, and then he literally washes his hands of Jesus.
The both the figurative and the literal translation of this is just mind-boggling.
Like,
to me.
Wash my hands of this man's blood. It's nothing to do with me anymore.
Because he now inevitably, like, he actually winds up in hell in Dante's Inferno. He's seen in the fourth circle. He's seen in Limbo, but he quite literally does the same. He quite literally does the same thing in Limbo, where when Dante and Virgil come across him, Dante says to him, "Is like, do you still believe the same that you did at the time when you condemned Jesus?" And he goes, "I never condemned him." And Dante retorts being like, you fucking did. You were the one that handed Jesus to the
and
people
you
that murdered him, and you could have done it.
Exactly.
And
It's almost like the pussy way out, where it's
exactly.
kind of like
And Pilate still responds with the same thing. He goes, I washed my hands of it.
Yeah.
And that's how they left it. And Dante like quite literally leaves him on the leeway, being like, I'm fucking done with talking to him.
And this is one of my favorite scenes when Pilate is washing his hands. We got a lot of cutscenes and like flashbacks to Jesus pre all of this.
Yeah.
And this is the scene where Jesus invents tables.
I knew this would come up. I fucking knew it.
It's so stupid because he's outside and like Jesus is very attractive when he's not covered in blood, which is actually usually kind of my type. I do kind of like the gory kind of aesthetic, but he's outside and
well, he's not human chair of the week.
No, because Jesus' chair would be on the floor. I can't sit on that.
Sit on his face.
Well, yeah. No, but Mary comes out and she's like, "What the fuck are you making?" You know, and he's like, "Oh, it's for a rich man. You know, just I got a commission, Mom." And she's like, "What? Does he like to eat standing up?" And he's like, "No, he would eat like this." And then like sits on a chair, like on an invisible chair, and it's also literally like an IKEA table. Like it's so modern looking, and it's like white birch. It's like not like any of the furniture in the movie anywhere. And she's kind of she also tries to sit like that, and then like whoa, like almost falls or whatever. She's like, "Are you hungry? Are you hungry, my baby?" And he comes inside. But isn't there a Jewish thing where you're supposed to you're supposed to wash your hands all the way up to your elbows?
Yeah,
and he just doesn't. He like dips his hands in it and then throws the water on Mary's face or whatever.
God,
but it's cute.
yeah.
We do get a lot of Jesus seeing like things happening in this movie, and then him being like, "That happened to me once."
While he's being tortured. Oh, I remember that.
Remember sandals? You know?
I invented them too.
We do get one shot like in the middle of, no, you know, we'll get to it.
I did. The other flashback is the confrontation between Jesus, Judas, and the guards in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is the most Baroque Caravaggio thing I think I've ever fucking seen. I think it's so
the literal taking
beautiful.
of Christ.
The taking of Christ
yeah.
is so fucking surreal because the actual grabbing of him is done in slow motion. So obviously that's,
you can see the fabric almost like in stills.
just like you could, and then obviously like you can hear as the sword swipes down because I think it's Peter is trying to defend
and cuts his ear off
and cuts the ear off, and then Jesus comes up and you know
I have to know
like,
where
away with you.
Yeah, Jesus,
you're fine.
Like, Jesus makes an ear reappear and the guy's like, what? You know, there's a lot of Christians in the making in this
he literally just sits there like dumbfounded.
He's like, oh,
like he's like kneeling on the ground, like just looking, going like, it was not there like, 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, he's like screaming and stuff, and then it just like subsides.
And the kiss is so fucking dramatic.
You betray the Son of Man with a kiss, you
faggot.
So outside of all, Judas non-consensually kisses people, I guess. I'm fine. No, Judas is like, it's weird. Everybody in this movie, except for the people we're supposed to hate, are beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Which is so weird. They really do. It's like the Disneyfication
like even Lucifer.
of things.
Lucifer is fucking
it's like
beautiful.
The devil, and Lucifer is like a Mugler model.
You know, exactly. I can see this like Satan just like pouncing it down the runway in that bee corset thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But like,
or the dragonfly thing, whatever that was.
I'm thinking of like the you know, the motorcycle corset.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But,
because it's the devil.
Yeah. One thing I remember Beyonce wore that, and everybody was like, "She's Baphomet because it's shaped like this," you know. But it's weird. The one thing I do, it's kind of hard for me to remove this from the Mel Gibson of it all, where I'm like, he really does a job on making all the Jewish people in this movie look
like fucking evil,
and also just look like horrid and dirty and kind of gross. It's like the Disney way to make you hate people is to make them unattractive or to make them
hunchbacks,
like,
unsightly.
Over. There's even a shot of a guy who's in front of Judas who's literally like, who's got like a triangle jaw or something. Like Well, I mean, was like, bring in the ugly folk. You know, y'all are the Jews in this movie, which is so what it is.
It is so wrong. But look for context of this, just in case you're wondering, or you know, you've lived under a bed for however many years. There are a certain type of Christian sects that wholeheartedly blame the Jewish people for Jesus' death, because technically in the Christian Bible, in the New Testament, it is declared wholeheartedly that the Jewish and the Pharisees were the ones that orchestrated the death of Christian God. Do you know what I mean? So no matter what way you view it, that's a fucking negative. And it opens up a can of worms for an argument that just has started holy wars and shit.
Literally.
So it is fucking wrong.
It's a touchy subject.
Exactly.
And also kind of putting it in the hands of somebody like Mel Gibson, who is
famously anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and
he's just a fucking arsehole. Let's just put it on the table. He's just a fucking arsehole. He's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit. If I'm not going to go into the video
accusations,
of his arrest,
the videos,
or any of the auditory proof that we have, of any of the racist things he said too, but. This is gonna sound so evil, but the man knows how to make a movie. Now listen, that's the thing. I don't know. I think we're in They're Here Productions. We're very good at separating art from artists. Like Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorite movies.
Yes, absolutely.
And the art is for us,
exactly. The person is not, the art is. Let's just say it. As that, because I think once we move on from this kind of thing, let's just kind of leave it where it is.
Yeah,
that's
it. It's just because we're on the subject of the depiction of Jewish people in this movie. This very much so does go with the idea of Jewish people bad, Jewish people killed Jesus, which is dangerous.
It does. It leads to anti-Semitic things. It leads to Nazism. Leads to all of these types of things that are just fucking wrong. And
wasn't his dad a Nazi though? Mel Gibson's dad was a straight up neo-Nazi. Hold on, I'm gonna look that up.
But
it's just for my peace of mind, I'm pretty sure.
But we get obviously the flashback scene, which is the Last Supper. Now that, to me, Hiv Lokomo, which is love one another. I always remembered that from the trailer. That always vividly stuck in my head. Those 3 words. And it's also happening not on a fucking table, which is great. They're literally just sitting on the floor, a blanket is laid out, and then the food is on top of it. And he's basically telling everybody, look, don't be a cunt, be nice to people, respect one another, love one another, turn the other cheek. You're getting all the tenants in a 5-minute flashback scene, you know what I'm saying?
Big nose! It's literally that,
Best it on the knee!
Yes, that's nice. Never get I love the idea that this movie is happening just left of The Life of Brian. You know what I mean? The Life of Brian is happening just over there.
It's simultaneously.
I actually, I couldn't find the Bible today. I actually had considered getting my copy of Life of Brian and recording on that instead. But yeah, I just forgot what I was about to say. You know what I mean? No, I think
great
is what I do. What was your point you were just making?
Is the love one another, turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek is such a passive aggressive thing to do.
It really is.
Because it's like you slap me on this cheek, and it's like somebody punches you here, and then you just going.
It's also in a certain sense, it's also super petty.
It is, when I dare you.
It really is. Right there. It's passive aggressive bullshit that I do not appreciate. Yeshua Nazarene.
I love it though. It is. It's so fucking petty though. Go on,
bitch.
I'll give you another shot right here, dog.
What do you think it says about Christianity in general if a boy can be ordained a minister at 10 years old? Cut to Jesus getting slapped by the Pharisees.
I just think of that, that little video of that Christian preacher kid on Oprah.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of that where it's and they question him on that where it's do you even know what you're saying? You know, but for real, it's what you've been told to say. You know what you've read, but it's like, do you even know what you're like giving out to the world?
Exactly.
You know, it's like clearly you fucking don't.
That's why I had the problem with.
You're just a fucking child.
You're just a fucking kid, bro.
It's one of the best lines from Dr. Sleep. You're just a fucking child. What does she go? Little bitch child.
No, that's why I never like. No, this is again. Obviously, we're just tangenting James Lalaurie, Dupree Delacroix,
which I think is inevitable in
Chanel,
like
Calargafeld.
Calargafeld.
Calargascope.
Emperor Calargafeld.
No, this is exactly why I never liked. Obviously with the Phelps, but like the fact that they dragged their kids to the pickets and things like that. It was like the kids are holding up signs that they have no fucking idea what those even mean.
Exactly,
they don't even know what the word faggot is, and yet they're just like faggots are doomed or this or that.
Like they don't understand.
They don't fucking know the connotations
like
that you are
so
laying down on these religious fanatics, and then pressing it into their children. As soon as religion dies, I'll be fucking delighted. When
I'll take all their ornaments.
But like it's just like it behooves me and irritates me to see these kids that are like 10, 12 evangelicals, like their life is sold to the weeds.
Who's that church? The Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's exactly the Phelps family.
Yeah,
Fred Phelps. You're gonna eat your babies.
She has the daughter. I think it's Michelle Phelps. She has only.
Is she not dead yet?
No, she's absconded. She's not part of the church anymore. She's actually
gonna eat your babies.
She's kind of a turf now, but not.
But at least she's not religion fanatic.
She doesn't hate gays anymore. She actually had
good girl. Good for her.
It's called The Witch Trials of J.K. Rowling, and she's kind of a J.K. Rowling apologist or whatever. Watch ContraPoint's new video. Actually, it's very, very good.
You and ContraPoint.
I don't care. She's great. Also, I would absolutely not let Natalie step all over me. But
with lesbian gothic hiker boots.
Yeah,
bruise the face a little.
Teach me about politics. Turn my other cheek, you know. But
petty bitch.
I'm doing like this one. Yeah. But yeah.
Passion.
That's why I do it. You know?
Kids, I love
them. But no,
that was a Beetlejuice reference. In case y'all didn't,
we
notice.
Have to cover that soon.
I'm surprised we haven't done it yet.
Haven't we?
We have over 100 videos soon enough, I think.
We haven't done Beetlejuice yet.
No.
Okay, cool.
We'll have to figure out what to do for our 100th video. Maybe The Exorcist 2 or something, because that's what we started with. No.
We started with Halloween. We've already done all the new Halloweens. Oh. Maybe we should do like a Rob Zombie Halloween or something.
No.
Why?
I want to do like The Exorcist 2 and bring my mum back.
The Exorcist 2 is so... The Exorcist 2 is so bad. Oh, it intrigued the shit out of me as a kid, because it was the first time I heard the word heretic. And I was like, what is that? Because it's literally just called The Exorcist 2, The Heretic. And the cover is Linda Blair. Just like,
who is the heretic?
Linda Blair.
Whatever.
Because she gets possessed again. Oh, Linda. At it again.
To your old tricks, I see.
At this point, I think you just like it. You know?
Yeah. You and Pazuzu are fucking hooked up. I know what's going on.
Look
at that face. How could you...
One of those pictures is going to be a story for you. Sopassian.
What?
Sopassian. Pantheon of the Christ.
Okay, so at this point...
Oh, it's the torture scene.
Yeah, we're at the 14 stations of the cross, right?
I think it's 12.
12 stations of the cross. Is it 12?
I think it's 12.
Hey Siri, how many stations of the cross are there?
Here's an answer from wikipedia.org. Commonly, a series of 14 images will be arranged
14?
in numbered order along a path, along which worshippers individually...
Whatever.
I mean, I said I was the first time.
I said I was an ex-Catholic.
Ex-Catholic. Boom.
Fabulous gown. But yeah, so this is like
elaborate clothing.
I feel like this is the scene besides from the actual crucifixion that people think of when they think of Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
This is when Miss Healy in Clash of the Charon jumped in front of the projector and wouldn't let us see, even though it's a projector, and now it's just being projected on her body. She did like, you still just see Jesus being whipped across her chest. This is like, I think this is like one of my strongest arguments.
That's a little bit like
self-important almost. You know? Now, bear in mind, I don't know in other countries and stuff if
I'm crying.
religion is like a straight up like class. You know what I mean? But we just got like Catholic lessons. We weren't taught about like Judaism and Hinduism and stuff.
If we did talk about it, it was touched upon.
Shut down very quickly though.
It was like very light. Like I remember when like Hinduism came up, there was like a page or two on it, and then it was like the rest of the book was Catholicism. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? That would have been fine if we were taught about like the history of Catholicism and then
and how fucking evil it is.
Yeah.
And how there's been more killing in the name of God than in any other way.
But for real, it's like I would have liked to have known more about like the history of Catholicism, like actually being taught that in school. It's like I shouldn't have to really go outside and do my own research, and then go to like Christianity, Judaism, and like all these other things. We just weren't taught about that. But then you also have to take into context that like all of our teachers are like older ladies who were raised Catholic, who remained Catholic even
These
after
old Irish white ladies
shed off by Ireland.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously there's a big shadow of Catholicism over Ireland still. Because of the vast amount of churches. Enfield does not have a church. I'll just say that.
Does it not?
No, we don't have a church. The closest one is Johnstown Bridge.
That's right. Yeah.
That's all right. That'll do.
And it's tiny too. And it's plain. It's simple.
But I want like a cathedral.
Yeah, but you're not going to get one out here in the fucking sticks, bro.
Why? They need it the most. Look how black that sky is after going.
Whoa.
That's great because it's sunny as fuck right here, but then the sky over there is like pitch black.
Ireland for you, bro.
But yeah, so Ireland like has like a big, like it was a very very big Catholic country for like a long time, and I think Catholicism was a disease brought to Ireland. Even though like I love the imagery of it, but I think like the things Catholicism has done to Ireland are still
worsened over time
going on.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we're maybe like the first, second generation who weren't like directly
involved.
Forgive the pun, touched by Catholicism. But you know what I mean? I think.
Oh, like, what a word to use!
But seriously, I think like a generation or two ahead of us, it would have been like it would have been mandatory.
Catholic system, you would have been under the church's thumb. You know, you have the Magdalene laundries, you have the pedophile priests, you have the cover-ups for money laundering, you have the state, you know, basically blocking any type of free will or thinking or freedom of expression.
You couldn't get condoms or like birth control here in Ireland until like the 80s legally. You know
I mean, gay marriage was literally only invented like what, fucking
2015. Yeah, and we were part of that.
What the actual fuck? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
and
then abortion is still one of the biggest, like almost considered borderline hedonistic things to do.
Well, it was,
you know, and still is considered in some parts very fucking hedonistic.
Yeah, like that's the thing. That
your body, your choice. You do with it what you want.
Unless that is raping other people.
You know what I mean? Shut up.
That still goes into your body, your choice. But yeah, I think like how the fuck did we even get here? I'm holding a cross and wearing a demon shirt,
and I'm literally writing a book about hell, and yet here we both are talking about a movie that we're not even talking about.
You're like poor Judas. You know, I kind of figure like this.
These topics will come up in this movie.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like even though we've kind of shed off the Catholic thing in Ireland, I think like at least for us we're still like very interested in it.
Yes.
Like as a topic, you know. That's what I always say is like religion is fascinating. I just don't think it should be your absolute.
Yes.
Or if it is, that's for you. I don't think.
Don't press it on other people.
Exactly. Like religion, like my religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs are like very personal to me. Like I barely even talk to you guys about them.
That's because nobody gives a fuck.
But you shouldn't though. You know what I mean? It's like it's for me, you know? Like I do pray in ways and stuff like that, but I don't necessarily do it to this guy's dad. Do you know what I mean?
Or that guy, depending on how you view it.
Yeah, I didn't even, maybe it's not even a guy. A guy, yeah.
Lucifer definitely isn't.
No,
he
but-
shows up in this though.
Yeah, but even the idea
See
of
what I
like
did there?
you
Segue
misgendered
back into
Satan. Even the idea of like I love like satanic imagery and stuff like that, but it's like the idea of having any of that like tattooed on me, I never would. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, you're gonna have to explain that one to me.
So it's like the idea of having
I
like,
have the devil card on
or
me.
maybe even like religious iconography tattooed on me. I kind of wouldn't, because like I don't know, I still have some kind of a faith in some kind of way, shape, or form, which may be shocking because I'm like the gayest person anybody knows.
So speaking of Satan, this movie.
Oh,
All right, okay, let's get into this torture scene because I really do think it's
gorgeous.
It's
G-O-R-E,
beautiful.
just
The blood is right. Can I
blood
just
is right.
say?
There's
The blood
a-
is
there's a-
right. When it's right, it's right.
I think it might be chicken.
It is fish.
It was chicken. But there's also like a appropriate amount of blood left on the floor. Like it's not like it's not an Evil Dead level of blood. It's like less than a pint, because otherwise Jesus would be
dead.
Yeah.
Especially because he's malnourished and dehydrated and shit.
It's just the way they're doing this. It's so real and like borderline medical, because it's not like it's not like Jesus is getting like stabbed and stuff. It's
There
like first he
is
just
skin
gets
being removed.
Yeah,
There are
we get to
whips
see his
with
ribs
rocks
and little hooks and teeth and bone and
just
stuff in it.
tearing of flesh, and the way these like the Romans look.
The most British looking dudes I've ever seen in my whole. Yeah,
It's the jaw.
unreal.
It's the jaw for me.
It is. They literally like this. Looks like Mel Gibson was like, I'm gonna need some dudes who look like English bulldogs, and you know,
Yeah.
And he kind of purposefully gives some of them like weird cock eyes and stuff like that. Like they're supposed to look monstrous.
Yeah.
You know, they almost mirror the imagery of the what Judas calls little Satans.
Yeah.
Which I actually thought that was really cool. The way he has them looking like they're all kind of unfit and they're like unshaven and stuff like that. Whereas like usually we kind of get Romans looking
Like
kind
the
of-
centurion
and
guard.
like kind of Roman statues.
Yeah,
Like they always
exactly.
look kind of beautiful and really well put together.
Statuesque.
But these dudes look like they just spilled out of a
tavern.
pub or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
you know? But they're like, these people are like the most torturous of Jesus. Not in just the fact that they're like actually the ones torturing him, but the fact that they like so openly enjoy it.
Yeah.
And they like mock him. But first they get out like, it's not like bamboo, but it's like some kind of like hard, thin stick. So they're just like kind of lashing Jesus in a way, but in a way that it's just like splitting the skin, you know, like it's not like a whip where it's like leaving like a welt or anything. It's like it is actually splitting the skin open. So then kind of by the end of this, Jesus just has like injuries on top of injuries on top of injuries, to the point
He
where
looks
I said
like
Legion,
a cut up checkerboard.
I said Jesus has become lasagnified.
Oh my god, that is like exactly the way I would describe it. Is like you can see the
looks
layers
burned.
of muscle underneath.
We can
you
see exposed
see
ribs.
cross sections
Yeah.
of skin that have completely separated from the skin around it.
Well, he's missing panels of skin, you know.
Yeah.
There's so he's being like lashed, and then through all of this Jesus kind of like endures, where he doesn't let himself be on the ground for too long, where he kind of
He doesn't
he's
scream,
like,
he doesn't
he's chained
relent.
to this like it's like the bottom of like a column or something.
Yeah, I was
in the
going to
middle
say,
of
if you
this
can
thing.
imagine those like stone car kind of stoppers.
Yeah,
things,
like a billard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just imagine that.
Like a giant stone, like the thing that hold up like Roman temples, but like just the bottom of it. And it's weird because this is so visceral. I can like feel the like sting of like injured flesh against the, because it's almost like tile, you know, and Jesus is kind of slipping around.
Yeah, he can't like get his footing or get to his knees.
But through everything, he kind of stands up and continues to just like present himself for it, you know, and he's like all the while kind of talking to God. But it's the thing you were saying to me on the phone, which is also kind of what gets me, is like Mary and the two Marys are there, and who was it that we found? Was it Peter?
John. It was John.
They're there the whole time. They're kind of with Jesus throughout all of his trials, from being judged up until he's literally crucified.
And then taken down.
But we can just see how like it's like
They
Mary's
are
being tortured
forced
also.
back. Mary wants to go in, but the other
Mary Bellucci. Yeah.
she is holding herself back because she's holding the mother back, and John is holding the both of them back because they know if they intervene, they will implicate themselves in it.
That's what I was going to ask. So they're not known to be disciples of Jesus or the mother of Jesus. That's why she holds back the whole time.
Yeah.
See, I thought that would have been known because of how small of a village it kind of is, that everybody would have known that she is...
Well, Mary, the thing about Mary is she...
But she's also a Nazarene. She came there.
Completely aware of what Jesus has to go through.
Yeah.
So she's just like... Although, like, again, it's that mother instinct that's overcoming her. I'm here for you, all of that kind of thing. But it's the reason why he's going through it that's pushing her to remaining hidden.
Yeah. Because
if she does it, she's going to obviously implicate herself in it as one of Christ's followers and things like that. So,
and she also sees bigger picture, because you know that Jesus refers to himself as the son of God's handmaiden in this movie. So it's weird. I kind of never think of Mary, like, in reading the Bible and kind of being taught these things, I never think of Mary as, like, as important as she actually is, which is crazy when you think about the fact that she's the vessel that allowed God to kind of come out into the world. And
I'm coming up.
You know what I mean? It's like, she...
Also, weirdly, evangelical Christians kind of ignore that part of the Bible.
Oh, yeah, we don't get... She's not a saint.
Which you would think is kind of important.
Like,
if you're one of Christ's biographers. You'd be like, oh, yeah, but think about that part about the virgin birth. That's not important. Like, what?
That's a very big Catholic thing, actually.
Yeah.
And that's
Mary is, like... We're borderline on par with Jesus.
But she's a saint. Like, she's canonized in that kind of way, where it's kind of hard to remove Jesus from Mary in Catholic imagery. You know, like, I have so many pictures and paintings of Mary in my room. Even that new one I just got is of Mary and the baby Jesus, and baby Lou. But yeah, baby Jesus.
But you know, fun fact for you: in Italy, you know who the Italians pray to? You know how far down the line the Italians pray to in times of crisis? Fifth in line is Jesus.
Who's the first besides God?
It's one of those, like, you know, saint of lost things, saint of, you know, like,
that's
ambulances,
that's Saint Peter,
all this
isn't
shit.
it?
Like, loads of that shit, man. That's fucking crazy.
But did you ever do that when you were a kid, or like?
Yeah, leave the Son of God out. We don't need him right now.
But it's like, if you ever lost something, you pray to Saint whoever.
Saint Anthony.
Saint Anthony to find your things. Like,
and
even
Saint
my mom
Jude.
now still has like a Saint Anthony like pin in her car. And my mom's not even really religious like that.
Yeah. But it's a comfort thing, you know.
It is. I feel like it is like a nostalgia thing, because a lot of it was passed down to us. Like, I used to go to church on Saturdays with my great grandmother because I found it fascinating and gorgeous. Now, I will say, what is it? Our Lady's Church in Leixlip. Kind of boring.
She's very blasé. She used to be
borderline Sultan's Palace with a shape on the inside. It's all this kind of, like, it's
a T-shape.
No, I mean, like, the giant arches in there. They're all kind of. It looks like Jasmine's dad's gaff in Aladdin.
Oh my god.
But seriously, it's like I love the imagery and stuff like that because it's kind of been passed down. Now, my grandparents think I'm weird because I like Catholic stuff, which is kind of like I would say unusual.
Excuse yourself. Excuse your mouth.
It's my house. Get the fuck out. I think that's kind of unusual because my grandparents would be kind of in the minority of people who gave up Catholicism early enough. Like, they rejected that when they were, like, young enough. You know?
When they were smart.
But you know what I mean? Like, that... Like, I thought that was thunder. No, it's just somebody wheeling a suitcase.
Wheeling a fucking suitcase!
Oh my god, he can fully hear us. We're literally sitting here in front of an open window yelling at this poor boy. But yeah, I think, like, all my family think I'm, like, really, really weird for having, like, Catholic imagery. I understand that, but even my Auntie Linda, calling my Auntie Linda out, who's, like, borderline, like, hippie, she's kind of a Buddhist. I showed her my room a couple of months ago, and my room used to be set up in the way that I had, like, you know this because you've seen it, where I had, like, a Hindu wall where I had, like, all the gods kind of, like, facing out over me, and then I had, like, a Buddhist wall with all that imagery, and then one side I still refer to it as my Catholic wall. She was like, no, I love all this. That scares the shit out of me. I don't fuck with that at all, because they have such negative connotations to Catholicism, because you would have been whipped across the hands for not saying your prayers or whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
It's like it really was literally bent into them.
Man, nuns were fucking bitches.
That's the thing, nuns were fucking scary as fuck.
My mum had so many first-hand accounts of like abusive nuns when she was growing up as a child, and like how fucking evil they were and everything. Like she said, every single time she spoke out of turn, the nun would whip her on the back of the hand with the fucking ruler, with a wooden ruler, and she'd be like, I didn't even say anything, and like this fucking nun would pick on them. Oh,
my mom
fuck the Irish Catholic system.
My mom called one of her nuns, who was a teacher, a cunt one time, and then she pulled her to the office by her ear.
I love it.
Oh, I really am my mother's child.
Speaking of who looks like a nun, Satan.
Satan, I just
Satan
don't
shows
think
up.
Satan is stunning.
And shows out.
I literally said Satan is giving cunt in this movie.
The whole way through. The whole fucking way through. That bitch has... you know what? She's not doing drag unless she's got a nail on. She's got a nail on.
Hell yeah.
Nail on.
My god, this is where we get the demonic baby.
The baby.
Which
the
is just
Antichrist.
like,
I always associate it as the Antichrist.
Exactly. This is the satanic vision of the virgin birth with the baby.
Yeah.
And
it is demented.
It is. It's crazy looking.
I fucking love it.
I do like how often Satan and Jesus are like directly opposed in this movie, where you can kind of tell that Satan is kind of like Satan hates Jesus.
Yes.
You know, like there's so much hatred for him in this movie, like from Satan. And anytime Jesus is going through something, Satan is right there.
Yes.
You know, and it's in this where after Jesus has been scourged, I think that's the word for it. Like
scoured.
I know, but what's the like? Scoured sounds like you've been rubbed with a Brillo pad.
No, so it comes from the to scourge, but like scouring is something that has been completely eviscerated and torn out. That's how you would
it's just been
something.
Completely like sliced up. Like Jesus is fillet.
Also, can I just say one of his eyes is like completely bloodshot for the rest of the thing, and
one of them is like welded shut. You know, except for at the end where it starts to kind of open a little bit. Now, anytime we focus on Jesus' eyes, it does distract me a little bit because he looks like a vampire from Twilight. Because they give him like golden eyes, and Jim Caviezel has blue eyes in real life. But yeah, so this is like where we kind of start to get like what I would consider classically the Stations of the Cross. Is like where the cross actually comes into the picture. And the other two, what would you even call them? The two other people who are like condemned. They're like, you embrace your cross. You know, it's like because he physically can't stand up.
Hey Siri.
Jesus.
Who were the other two people crucified with Jesus?
Brian.
Oh God. Hey Siri. Who were the other two people crucified with Jesus? Yeah, it doesn't say.
Okay, Google. Who are the other two people crucified with Jesus?
According to Wikipedia, Christian tradition holds that Justus was on the cross to the left of Jesus and Dismas was on the cross to the right of Jesus.
Justus and Dismas, yeah.
So one believes in God and one is like, oh my God, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
And really like pours himself out to Jesus and is like, look, I understand why you're crucifying me and I understand that I should be condemned.
I
but
accept
like,
my fate.
Don't forget about me when you enter into the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus is like, I got you, bro. You know?
And the other guy's like, nah, fuck you too.
For real, this other guy is literally just kind of like borderline spitting on
crows.
Jesus. Yeah, he gets his eyes pecked out by crows. And then what is it? They break their knees before they actually hang.
Yeah,
there's no support underneath.
Which is why the crucifix in the stained glass in St. Mary's makes sense.
Yeah,
because his knees are like completely buckled in,
and they're they're actually folded on top of each other.
Yeah,
and I did love that when they brought that in because I remember St. Mary's before that window was in, and then they brought that in. I always loved the sort of like
long face and long dangly hair.
It's borderline American trad style, where like the shading is done with lines. Yeah, it's not done with any of that. If you're ever in Leaksip, check out St. Mary's Church. Oh, it's crazy. I can still remember the smell of the inside of that church and everything. Like I love that place.
The incense that was always hanging around it.
And always lighting a candle and stuff like that. Like tradition to me when I was a kid was always really exciting.
Just randomly pressing all the buttons.
I know you're not giving a euro in or whatever. That church also has a really lit gift shop. Remember when religious bracelets were in fashion and everybody was wearing them? I used to go there and they were 50 cents as opposed to spending £2 on them in Topshop.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I got them from the source.
One of the scenes that really, really does get me is, I think it's the second or the third time that Jesus falls and shit like that, is when Mary comforts
she's like,
Jesus.
Get me to him. I need to be with him.
It's because it's a flashback scene. She is hiding down an alleyway, and it is literally the only thing besides the hours of torture that you see for the rest of the film. This is the only time that always gets me because it's such a human moment.
It is. It's such a motherly I need to be with my child.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
I was saying to you, it's that is purely innate, solely in women and in mothers, where I have to be with my child, I have to comfort them, I have to hold them, I have to protect them in
at the cost
all
of
ways.
anything.
At the cost
this is
of
her
anything. Exactly.
Basically revealing herself.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is Joseph is absent in this movie completely.
Joseph,
he's referred to as an obscure carpenter, which is so shady.
So the one thing I think Joseph is dead by this time,
but he's never in any flashbacks
Joseph
or anything.
was 20 or 30 years older than Mary.
Yeah, she was 13.
Yeah. She's
such was the fashion
baby,
of the time,
But it's because it flashbacks to when I think Jesus is a 4-year-old or something like that, and
this is what you see paintings of kid Jesus and Mary.
Exactly.
This is that on screen,
and the kid falls, and Jesus or Mary just drops everything. I think she lets a flask smash on the ground and stuff, and she runs and she
says, I'm here.
him. She goes, I'm here, and all of that, and then she does the exact same thing when she goes to pick up Jesus under the cross. Yeah. And then I think he said something look, I make the world anew, or something like that.
It is, I'll make the world anew, I'll make them see, I think.
And she just sits back because her hands are immediately covered in his blood. Yeah. And
that's what she really shares back in his torture in this movie, because she's there for everything.
Exactly.
And even after when he's being whipped, after all of that, Claudia comes out and gives the two Marys towels. Thanks.
Yeah. And
sound lady.
When he's whipped,
and they sop up his blood.
Sop.
Jesus is a biscuit, let us sop you up. Jesus is a biscuit, let us sop you up.
Now, one thing I will say is the two Marys have different approaches, and only Monica Bellucci is correct.
Just book it.
I will say the two Marys have different approaches to cleaning liquids, and only Monica Bellucci does it right, because Mary, Mother of Jesus, is spreading it around, and Monica Bellucci is stopping it up like this, And then, so she goes out, and there's actually this really, really beautiful scene where I think it's just after or just before Claudia gives them towels, where Mary goes out and she places her head on the ground, and we go underneath and we can see Jesus knows she's there.
Yeah.
So you do get the sense that Jesus it's kind of...
There is that connection there.
Exactly. And she's his... That person is carrying a TV with an umbrella over it. Oh my god!
Why are we seeing weird shit for this episode?
Oh my god!
It's weird because Mary is Jesus's human tie to the world.
Yes, I will say that is ironically, God is just as absent as Joseph is.
Yeah, for real.
The mother is the only one that stays in the picture.
Is God paying alimony? Does
God pay child support?
Exactly.
Well, clearly not. The fucker's getting crucified in 10 minutes,
But it's that is also kind of
this episode is so blasphemous.
But I know I have a crucifix
that you've clearly shoved up your butthole.
I have. Look at the shape of this.
You should the condom on that. You'd be fine.
I have looked. Oh, this is actually made out of wood. I like that. No, I have looked up crucifix dildos. Not for me, but for the novelty of being able to pull that out, so to speak.
Oh my god!
But no, they're all very thin.
Sorry,
which is my problem with that. Yeah. But
You know it's not thin. It's fucking cross.
office support. But
Isn't that correct, Judge Judy?
I think like that is the thing in the Christian Bible and like Christian mythology is that like Mary, like you were saying earlier, really is just kind of cast aside and is seen as like non-important. And it's like, no, she's God's like vessel onto earth.
I guarantee you, if Mary was in any physical harm, angels would have descended.
Yeah, definitely.
And fucking eviscerated and obliterated and incinerated
fiery
any
swords
fucking thing that would have been around her.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Imagine
she's
some
a saint.
Roman fucker is about to pull a knife on pregnant Mary 5 minutes away from giving birth. Angels would have fucking like
because it's like that's not the time Jesus was like destined to die.
That would be
know?
fucking like.
Well,
can you imagine that image?
That's what the next movie is the resurrection of Christ. But we're supposed to see the fall of angels in that movie, and we're supposed to see. It's actually gone into pre-production at the moment, so it's happening. Very excited. And we're supposed to.
We love a good fall from grace.
Seriously, we're supposed to see Jesus descend into hell.
Well, you see, that's the one thing that I really do want to see.
So excited.
That looks fucking sick.
Yeah, it's gonna.
And up until that point, hell was not called hell. Hell was called Hades, then Gehenna, then hell.
Exactly. It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like there's different fates playing in this, so it's like you can see why the Romans don't really take this seriously. It's because it's like, well, you're not even talking about any of my gods.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is just like the peasant faiths.
That's Jesus knocking.
One time, me and Yemi got really, really high and saw Jesus on her wall, and it scared the shit out of us. Whatever way her lace curtain, and like mind you, there was like 4 people there, and we all saw it. Like whatever way her lace curtains were hanging, the shadow on the wall from her room, literally looked like a picture of Jesus's face, and it freaked us all the fuck out. But like that's neither here nor there.
It definitely wasn't neither here nor there.
But so Jesus falls. The fuck.
Though, actually, just very quick, I wanted to say the moment where the crown of thorns is placed on his head.
Oh, and they beat it into his skull.
So the one thing that always got me wasn't even necessarily the crown of thorns, was the salt water.
Yeah, they flick it on him.
I think that like they gave him a sponge and shoved it into his mouth.
Oh, he says, I thirst, and they feed him salt water.
Oh god,
and he doesn't even drink it.
You can hear the cracking of the wood as they force the crown down onto his head. Like that's not just
a beautiful rose
there.
Bush.
That is pressing.
Yeah, they didn't file.
Dragging it
they didn't
down.
file the thorns on the inside.
Exactly.
You know, it's like just squeezed onto his skull.
And then they said,
and then they spit wine over his face.
Yeah, exactly.
A fitting color for a king or whatever. Because they keep calling him Your Majesty and stuff like this.
Well, because actually up until this point, Jesus never actually confirmed nor said that he was the Son of God. It was the same when he was in Herod's like, shall we say, concubine room.
The party room.
The party room. The good time room.
The game room, yeah.
The game room.
The Zen room.
The
stars are playing, there's a goat with tits around it.
There's fucking twins like scissoring over in the corner.
For real. It literally is. I love that scene so much.
King Herod, first of them, first time in drag, boom.
Oh yeah, we didn't really even get to Herod. Herod,
that's what he
very
says.
quickly. Herod literally stumbles out of some curtains and literally tosses
the judge's wig on his head.
Literally tosses a wig on his head. You know, Herod literally comes out like this.
Seriously,
Herod literally comes out and he's like, ooh, you know.
But yeah, it was because like that's the moments where like actually I think that's the first time he's questioned about like are you who they say you are?
Yeah.
And Jesus doesn't answer. He said he doesn't even answer to him. He answers to a higher power.
Yeah.
Which in Herod's mind confirms it for him.
And it's you're only allowed to do these things to me because the higher power allows you to.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of like I'm going above.
I'm the Son of God, but I'm not. Tell me you're the Son of God without telling me you're the Son of God, okay?
Look at his wrists.
But yeah, it's a few
Caesar
times.
is also kind of absent in this movie, even though he's like the.
He's in Rome.
I know, but I'm saying like they all
We
keep
in
referring to
Jerusalem.
him. No, but I'm saying like he keeps being referred to as like everybody's afraid of him. That's why like Pilate is trying to keep quiet and not say anything because it's like the common people, Pharisees, Romans, emperor.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah,
everybody's trying to like keep it just below
Keep it on the
Caesar,
down
because Caesar
low.
will get involved.
Yeah. But it's the same with the Pharisees when Jesus. I think there's the flashback to that as well as when Jesus is preaching at the temple and the Pharisees are looking at it like, the fuck?
Yeah.
The fuck is this?
I
cunt
do love
doing?
how like involved they are, like because like even when
They're like shady little
they're like,
bitches.
but there's plenty of people who are kicked out of the judging of Christ because
Yeah.
they're like, stop, like what the
Yeah.
fuck, you know? And then he basically asks him, like the Mr. Pharisees man is basically like, do you believe you're the king of the Jews? And Jesus is like, yeah. And he like rips open his shirt and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, blasphemy. And then
Yeah.
you can see Jesus being like, oh fuck, you know, because
Yeah.
it's like that's the moment where it's decided, that's the judgment
You're
that's
gonna die.
made. Yeah.
But does
Tomorrow, like you're going to be tortured from now till then, because
Yeah.
right after that he's just getting bed up the
Yeah.
whole time.
And like Judas is another like character that consistently gets fed up and perhaps, I mean, depending on how you view it, rightfully so. Or...
I'm not going to let a comic book let me feel bad for Judas.
No,
in the
no, but
story.
like I mean, the way you look at it is like you can look at it two ways. One, he's being punished rightfully so because
Yeah.
he did the betrayal that he was.
yeah, you ratted your friend out regardless of God.
Or you're referring to a higher power that's off screen that's making you do what you're doing. So like,
Yeah.
it just depends on how you view it. But
Is it free will or the illusion of free will?
exactly,
You know?
and that's that's why Lucifer rocked up to God and was like, "You're tacky and I hate you."
Yeah, for real.
Um,
Yeah, bitch. You know.
you flings the blood locks like, "You bitch."
Yeah, for real. I'm taking my instruments and leaving.
Does
you
the
know?
Pharisee move? Reveals the non-boy chest.
Just two little scars right here. That's so terrible. They're like crossed off here. So
Yeah.
they're like two little T's. When he says I'm on
Takes
T,
his wings off.
now when Satan says he's on T, he means like the shape of a cross. But yeah, so
No, but Judas.
so
This is the thing that you consistently bring up, and then I was like, okay, that is the horror, that is the jump scare.
oh, there's a werewolf. There's a fucking demon werewolf thing.
So this is the moment where Judas is sort of half in, half out of the bag before he throws the coins
regrets
back in
it.
the Pharisee's face, and he's
Yeah.
just like, fucking take them, like, let him go,
They're like,
blah, blah, blah.
no,
And they're just
for
like,
30
no.
silver coins.
Which
that was
dog
it.
him in the afterlife because he's forced to wear them. Well,
And then he
this
becomes
is-
Dracula.
This is myth. He's forced to wear the 30 pieces of silver, but they become as heavy as adamantine stones, and basically it's like a millstone around your neck. It pulls him forward and drags him down into hell, basically, and that's what takes him there. But that's a few different interpretations of Judas's character after he dies.
I like to think he becomes Wes Craven's Dracula.
You do, don't you?
One day we'll get to Dracula 2000. I don't give a
Will
shit.
we?
A very forgotten Wes Craven movie.
But it's a very like it's as Jesus is being brought back by the Romans to be confronted by the Pharisees and Pilate, and I completely fucking forgot that he like needs like a moment, and they fucking push him over. He
Yeah.
falls.
But then there's one
Connected by two fucking chains. The man could have broken his back.
Oh, he definitely
Oh
did.
my
And this
God.
is where Judas is kind of like, oh my god,
And
shit.
he just looks at him. He's just like, "Ugh."
Do you know you did? Yeah.
And he's pulled back up. Oh
It's
my
like
god,
it's
that
like a
is
Mission
demented.
Impossible moment or something.
Exactly.
Literally, it's just like, oh!
You could take the
'Cause he
emotional
stops,
music out and
like, For real though, because it's like he stops maybe like half a foot from the ground.
Yeah.
You know, like otherwise he literally would have just died there and then.
Yeah.
But then we literally get this like werewolf demon thing that just like at Judas for like 2 seconds and is never broken.
Because it's like a hellhound. I view it as like a hellhound kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
That
Because it's
like
furry. It looks like the werewolf Dracula becomes in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes.
Where it's kind of not necessarily like a wolf, just kind of like you said, kind of a hellhound thing, just to kind of torture Judas. So yeah, Jesus is on his way to
she's
was it
straight up raining it.
Golgotha?
Golgotha.
The Golgothan.
The shit demon.
Also, Dogma. If you guys haven't seen Dogma, if you want like a really cool, like clever, actually really kind of in depth,
Yes.
like laugh at like Christian mythology. Go watch Dogma. It's fucking great.
It's all on YouTube. The full
thing has been on
is
YouTube for years. Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Also, Selma Hayek in that movie is my favorite. You know, I was an abstract. She is
Muse.
But she's her name is
Penelope?
Serendipity.
Yeah.
I was an abstract. You know, and then we're introduced to her as like a pigtail wearing stripper. You know, and she's just like, oh, I live for it.
It's like, I give out 10 scripts to inspire you, but I had nothing to do with that little kid that gets left at home. Someone's clearly sold their soul.
Selma Hayek is one
she's fucking great.
Selma Hayek is one of my favorite actresses of all time. I don't give a shit. I fucking love her.
Yeah.
She needs to be in a horror movie. She needs to be the Carpenter sister's mom in the next Scream movie.
Carpenter's sister's mom? What?
Sam and Tara.
Oh, they're called the Carpenters?
Yeah.
Christian bullshit.
I want to see her as their mom in the next movie, just so I have an excuse to talk about Selma Hayek on this podcast.
So Golgotha.
The idea that the Golgotha is made up of shit that fell from crucified corpses in that freaking movie.
Well, I mean,
and it's defeated by an air freshener.
Your anus relaxes.
But that's why when you're in hospice, they starve you and dehydrate you so you don't make a mess.
Yeah.
It's my right. You better clean up my poo when I die. Because it's the only time I'm going to shit. Because remember, I don't shit unless I'm on acid.
And you're wearing a diaper.
I'm all diped up, bro. But so Jesus falls for the first time, and this is when we can see Mary is directly opposed with Satan, and they're going across like this.
I love this. It's a very kind of confrontational moment.
It is. It's literally good versus
said.
evil.
Yeah.
You know, it's like exactly that kind of thing. It's a very literal interpretation of Jesus could be pulled to either side.
Because she's reminded of that fact where, like, even though she wants this to end, she doesn't want him to suffer anymore. She knows that no matter what, she has to make sure that he sees it through to the end.
It's all for the higher picture.
Exactly.
Or all for the bigger picture.
And Satan is just, like, straight up like, what you want? Like,
Satan is just giving face this whole movie.
This is actually something that I really wanted to talk about, was the fact that Satan, up until this point, like the last time that Jesus kind of confronted Satan face to face was the 40 days and 40 nights where he tempted Jesus
in the desert,
into jumping off a cliff, conjuring food, or something. It was something else.
Locusts and honey, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. And Jesus was basically like, no, fuck off. I'm better than you.
Fuck off.
You know, that kind of stuff. And Satan is just like, alright, cool.
See you later,
gives
bitch.
him the middle finger and bursts into a ball of flame. And that's the last time Jesus was ever confronted by Satan up until now. And the reason why Satan is here so often and it's becoming so urgent is because Satan knows, Lucifer knows, that if Jesus dies, if he falls, I'm fucked.
Yeah, like your plan is
I
gone.
get nothing. Because up until this point, when people have been going into hell, there's no escape, there's no redemption, there ain't nothing. But once Jesus dies, that all goes away. And Lucifer, in a certain sense, loses power over his dominion.
And that's basically like, like Jesus is like at his weakest, kind of right before he...
because he has a crisis of faith.
Exactly, and he kind of... like it's only up until like he gets to Golgotha.
When he smashes the
snake
down on the snake head.
Yeah,
and
that's such a
Lucifer is just like... Bobby!
Fuck, bro. Yeah, for real.
My pet!
That was my snake, dude. That will be one of the clips I'm putting up, is the conversation between Jesus.
She's like, no one could ever... she's like, never, no one could ever do it. No one could take all that pain or that sorrow. Something like that.
No, exactly, yeah.
And he's just... and Satan is just like...
because he's not talking
you
to
can't
Satan.
fucking do it.
He's talking directly to God the whole time.
Yeah.
And
he's
like
like
shot where
fully
the clouds
blanking
go
Satan.
over the moon.
Yeah.
And Jesus is kind of like, fuck. And this is where Jesus falls to the floor. Or
Yeah.
like goes to the floor and is basically like, I've been abandoned. And then
He's at his
Satan comes
lowest
along
moment.
and Satan is trying to tempt Jesus, and the whole time Jesus is just giving him dust.
Yeah.
And then the moon...
not even side eye.
Just nothing. Bombastic side eye. Christianic side eye.
It was basically dirty rice.
So then the moon kind of reappears and Jesus is like, oh,
maybe you're
Daddy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Daddy.
He refers to God as Father, and then Satan is like, who's your father?
Yeah.
Satan is like, what the fuck? So at this point is where Satan kind of sees Jesus at his weakest and is like, okay, this is my time to strike. Like, if I can if I'm gonna get it, it's now.
Yeah.
You know? And Jesus is kind of at his weakest up until he literally gets to Golgotha, where he kind of resigns himself to be like, okay.
He resolves to...
Like, here it is. Like, this is the end of it / the start of it all.
Yeah.
And this is where we get Simon, one of the like 75 Simons in the Bible, because everybody's a fucking Simon or a Sarah, in the Bible, or a Mary apparently. So this is where people are starting to take a stand. This is where Jesus is starting to get out into the people of Galilee, and people are seeing him, and people are horrified by what they see, because it's like, up until now it's kind of all been closed. Like, people haven't been able to see the torture.
Because only the rabbis, the Jewish leaders, and the Pharisees, the upper Jewish elite, shall we say,
had to be there.
Had the privilege of viewing what they
were doing. But then he's being led through the streets, and people are like, oh my god, like, people are horrified. Because people are like, okay, if you don't believe he's the Son of Christ, then why are you fucking doing all this? Yeah. Like, why have you gone this far? And even even Pilate has him at the top of the stairs in the temple, and he's like, is this not enough? Like, look at him. This is after he's been lashed and broken open, basically. He's like, is this not enough? And the leader of the Pharisees is like, no, crucify him. We want him
they straight
dead.
up call for his crucifixion. Like, they have no qualms about, like, fucking murder this heretic.
Exactly. And because I love that word, heretic. It just but it just implies so much. Like, it's I don't know, it's like a really like evil sounding word or whatever. So Jesus gets up, and this is where Simon is kind of like, Simon is actually charged to help Jesus carry the cross, and he's like, I'm not going to fucking help him carry this cross if you just keep beating him down. Like, he can't. He can't. Yeah. Even one of the centurions is like, are you fucking blind? Like, he can't carry it. Yeah. You know, this is when they assign Simon to him. Yeah. I think it's Simon's wife that tries to give Jesus a drink, and they kick her out of the way.
Yeah, they kick her out of the way, and then there's another woman that tries to dry his face off, and that's where you get the Shroud of Turin from.
That doesn't look like Jesus. I looked at the Shroud of Turin, and it looks like somebody drew a picture of Jesus on a cloth. You know, somebody know how to tea stain. As in tea stain.
Oh my god! Stop.
And one of these days, the podcast will become visual, and you'll actually get half the jokes that we do, because some of them are just me giving Nathan a look, or vice versa. But yeah, so basically this is people of Galilee kind of sticking up for Jesus, because they at this point have already witnessed Jesus performing miracles. Like, at this point Jesus has already
the blind could see, the lame could walked on water, saved people from drowning, risen the dead,
turned water to wine, things like this. And this is when we also get
life of the fucking party.
Things like this, you know. That's the thing.
They were like, video want him to die, because they were like, no, he's the one that gets more wine.
That video where it's like Jesus and his boys go into a bar, and he's like, we'll have 12 pints of water. We'll have
someone was popular at parties.
I'll have some loaves and 12 pints of water, guys. I got you. Or what was the thing where it was like, oh, this wine is actually shit. Can you make a Chardonnay? You know, I don't really drink red, you know. But this is where we also get Mary Magdalene, who's, I don't know. I didn't watch that movie about her that was made specifically about her, because I'm kind of like,
oh yeah, the
I think it's literally just called Magdalene
story.
No.
Oh, I thought
it's the one that came out, which is kind of, it's almost like the Passion of Mary Magdalene, where it's like kind of done in the same style. And Noomi Rapace is Mary Magdalene.
Oh yes.
But they also kind of make her like magical in it, I think. I'll watch it eventually one day. But this is where we get to see her, because she's a sex worker back in the day, and she's the only female apostle.
Yes, so the point of this being that obviously at the time religious aspects were more male dominated. All of that, the hierarchy was the patriarchy. Was hierarchical, or at least more predominant at the time, shall we say? Mary Magdalene was as a prostitute, as a whore. She was smeared by the church at that
You
time.
slut!
But she was
Hey,
famously
slut.
like that was kind of revoked because what had happened was her name was smeared by the church during the Council of Nicaea. And basically she was shit on by the men at the time.
It's kind of implied in this movie that she was also like partially stoned.
Yes, so the way this happens is Jesus comes across her being stoned to death basically by the Pharisees,
and she's got these fabulous earrings on,
gorgeous.
They're like these like heavy metal
Mesopotamian kind of like a jewelry that like hangs down here
because it almost looked like a headdress,
exactly,
like a portion of a headdress, and then they're like these two panels with all these like kind of
rivulets
small coin pieces on the bottom. And this is when Jesus, at his cleanest in this movie, I will say, my religion has been cast asunder. Jesus kind of... we get like a superhero shot of Jesus where it's like pans from his feet up and he kind of like... yes, it is I. Yes,
you get that famous line of "Let he is without the sin cast the first stone," and basically they cast the stones at his feet because they're like,
oh shit,
well, he's not wrong.
And this is where
I
Mary,
love the shot of
grabs
Mary
his feet.
reaches for him like as if she's not, and she continues to say that like right up until like he's fully looked like, yo, Mary, chill the fuck out.
Fabulously pedicured feet, I will say, for a Galilean. You know, I know that I don't have any foot spas out there in Galilee.
He had the time, let's say.
The salt water in Galilee will do a number on your feet.
Talking those cornrows.
She reaches for his feet, and then he like helps her up or whatever. And I love that this is her slutty look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like her equivalent to like a fishnet bodysuit.
Well, I mean, like
it's jewelry and makeup.
the way it is like, I mean, like because I mean, like technically, if we're like the first thing that you think of when you hear prostitute is exactly what you just wrote, but like the way it would have happened back then would have been a lot more. I'm gonna say conservative, but only in the sense that
it was set up that you were a sex worker. The fact that was your job.
Exactly.
It wasn't that you were like. See, it's weird because
you weren't the town whore.
No, but
you were just selling your body.
I think we're almost kind of going back towards that now these days, where sex work is being seen as legitimate work, which it should be. Just make it legal because then it's safe because people are going to do it anyway. But I think back in the day it would have kind of been. And across like a lot of cultures would have been seen as just like that's your job, like that's the role you fit into in society. Like it's
but
not.
The Pharisees didn't see
it's
it
not
that
like
way.
it's not like a slutty thing. It's like this is a role that needs to be fulfilled in society, and there are certain women who do that.
And you're going to go into conspiracy theories here real quick, but the whole idea that once Mary Magdalene was saved and she had joined.
Sorry, I'm smoking a Lost Mary.
But once Mary was saved and she was protected under Jesus' protection, the way that this goes out of like the Da Vinci Code and all of that kind of thing, but the idea of
didn't she give birth to Jesus' baby in that movie?
You say the way it's sort of described as Mary Magdalene, there was a gospel according to Mary Magdalene.
They have her skull somewhere, don't they?
They have a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know? They have a lot of shit when it comes to it, but it is not officially recognised or is part of the official doctrine of the Catholic Church, nor is it recognised by any other leading evangelical fundamentalist.
But all the other ones have gone on to become saints.
Exactly.
You know?
Again, like it's a fighting against the sacred feminine, whereas way back when women were worshipped as a route to heaven. Whereas Jesus, the modern church, had a monopoly on that, and in salvation through Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like that would be in conflict with that idea.
Exactly. So, like immediately, women are a huge threat to the Catholic Church. Hence, you have the witch trials. You have burnings all across Europe. You have the hatred of the.
That never happened in Salem. If you know, you would know, but you don't because you don't.
So like the debunking of women out of matriarchal roles that would have been higher class.
It's the taking out of women from religious imagery. Is crazy.
Exactly. Like a lot of that stuff happened specifically because of how Mary Magdalene was treated. And Jesus goes on to say in Mary Magdalene's
leave her alone.
Gospel, no, I'm not
Get
aware
off
of a lie. One of the disciples confronts Mary and basically just says, "Look, do you compare yourself to the man that is the Son of God?"
Yeah.
And Jesus turns around and is like, "I see you competing with her as if you were an adversary. This is not how it should be." And because Jesus elevates Mary to, specifically because she was a prostitute,
literally
not a word of a lie, but like Mary is elevated to the status as the same status as the men surrounding her. The church didn't like that, and at the Council of Nicaea, much like the Book of Judas, everything was cut out, and most of the times it was hidden. Same thing with that line from that gospel in Stigmata, the one the Catholic Church still to this day does not recognize, which is, "You will not find me in effigies of wood or stone. I am here, I'm with you, I'm all around you." That one line spoken by Jesus immediately destroys the power of the church. Because what we've been led to believe over the past hundreds of thousands of years is that we must go to God's house and to speak to him.
Whose house?
God's house. And once you were there, you had to pay your dues and pay the church and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and
but also fuck women.
Exactly, and that's how that worked. So all of these gospels that sort of first of all, prove Jesus is more human than divine, or elevates Mary Magdalene or the status of women.
I think divine is more human than Jesus.
Exactly.
The higher the hair, the closer to divine.
Exactly. A car. But condone cannibalism.
You have been convicted of assholism.
So yeah, that's a huge tangent, but that's exactly Mary Magdalene's story when in comparison with modern day teachings is
the skull of Mary Magdalene.
It's great.
I want that in my house. I almost said in my church.
So, who crucified Jesus? The wrong way.
The Romans.
No, I meant...
I'll say that.
Who?
Oh, Mel Gibson. So, this, along the lines of Miss Healy.
Oh my god!
It's very self-important. But also, it kind of shows Mel Gibson's, almost crazy devotion to Catholicism.
Yeah.
That Mel Gibson be the one... it's Mel Gibson's hands that drives the nails into Jesus' hands, not wrists. If you watched Stigmata...
You would know.
You would know, but you didn't, so you don't. Let's just say the girls who girl and the girls who girl can't. But yeah, Jesus is crucified the wrong way, which always pisses me off. Even on this, it's supposed to go through the wrist.
Yeah, because the theory is that the weight of the body cannot be supported because there are no bones between the mandibles of the fingers. If you were to apply pressure and your hand was to be rotated, let's say 90 degrees, by the weight pulling down, your hand would rip right through it.
And they do rope Jesus onto this too, which is how they...
Is it around his feet? I think it's his feet. No, it's his feet and his
around
wrists.
His wrist, so he doesn't literally fall off. And the other two, they're on just an actual T, a capital T thing, not an actual cross. And Jesus gets a nice little nameplate that does not read I-N-R-I. It's Yeshua Nazareth, and then I think why he was killed or something like that. He gets this big wooden sign put on top of his, which is why I assume he has the extra
the length at the top. Yeah.
And this is also another scene where Miss Healy threw herself in front of the projector screen, which is so stupid.
Why would you show it in the first place?
Because she wants us to see. She wanted to see it, wanted us to see what Jesus went through, but also wouldn't show us what Jesus went through. Which I do
however,
I do kind of get, but also let me see. I'm just gonna go watch it anyway.
Exactly.
Now, Mr. Nelson was cool. Mr. Nelson always let us see the cool shit in movies when we watched movies in class.
Mr. Nelson, if you ever.
Shout out, bitch.
Ever. You are fucking awesome.
I'll just say the
Love
two that
you.
should be kind of nice as saints in that school are Miss Penny and
You.
Mr. Nelson. Hell yeah, ladies.
Oh,
Y'all
man.
were cool.
Real OGs.
But I do like this though, because Jesus, it goes straight through, and again, Mary and the two Marys and John are there, and a couple of people and the Pharisees show up on their horses and stuff.
Yeah.
And
They want to see it happen.
but they look away
Yeah.
when he's being lashed
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, because they can't really handle it, except for the lead, Mr. Head Honcho Pharisees
Mm-hmm.
stays. But they all show up in their horses and stuff, and then Jesus gets the nails to the hand by Mr. Mel Gibson. But just like, I don't know, like the way this is shot, it's shot like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Because you feel the weight and like the pressure and
And the
everything.
nail
like, you can
goes
feel the pain
right through the wood,
and then
yeah.
they cap it off at the back so he can't slip out on the front, which would just happen anyway, except for the fact that he's roped up. But they have the holes marked in the cross already, and his right arm doesn't quite reach the hole on the other side.
Yes.
So the Romans tie him up, and I
think they dislocate his shoulder or something.
I think they break it, because that's the first moment where he's like, where he really kind of like yells out. And I think this is when Mary is kind of like, oh shit, like this is the moment where she's like, she really, really can't take it anymore. And where Mary Magdalene is breaking down, and Mary is on the floor and she's grabbing stones. She's holding earth, and she doesn't let that go until Jesus is actually crucified. And they pull his arm out of the socket or break it or something, and then they nail it in. And same with the feet, but we don't actually get to see that because they don't show that in this movie. But they would like break your feet or like hobble you, so you could do that way. And there's some depictions of Jesus. It used to always bother me when I drew this as a kid. He's nailed, both of his feet are nailed through, but one on top of the other, as opposed to like this is nailed separately. But a lot of depictions of Jesus have
one in front of
one
the
foot
other.
over the other, and then one really long nail through both feet, which wouldn't make sense. But then they have like that little kind of step, so that he's not literally just hanging off the thing.
Yeah, because the thing
flip
is,
him over on his face. And his weight is just pulling him in. This is where you can start to really feel the pain of the crucifixion. Yeah. Before he's lifted up, because they're flipping him over on his side, and all his body weight is shifting to one side. Yeah. And it's being pulled on the side that he's been dislocated on, or pulled out of the socket, whichever. Sorry, I wasn't there.
Gross. No, it's important to mention like that the whole time that when it comes to like Mary, when it comes to, is it Simon?
No, Simon. Simon's the one that helps him carry the cross, and then it's
John.
Or no, John helps him carry the cross. No,
it's John that.
John is the one that's with the two Marys, and Simon is the one that helps him carry the cross.
It's
he's like, kill me if you're going to do this. Like, you can crucify me too, but I don't fucking care. I'm not helping him unless you leave him the fuck alone.
It's sort of a very hurtful thing because, like, again, it's right back to that thing like with Mary just grasping at the stones, because quite literally, like, and not to hark on about it, but she's a woman. Like, society does not see her on the same level or status as any of these other men that surround her.
No, she's kind of sneaking around the whole time.
Yeah, she's pushed to the side. She's like, her feelings are unimportant, and yet out of everybody there, she's the one that's probably the most important next to Jesus.
Yeah, she's
and
the most
like
involved.
She is the one that carries the sort of the weight and the despair, and the troubled mind and the heart, the weight of her own heart as a mother, is just the sort of the gravitas of the scene. I mean, like, next to the crucifixion that's going on, like, say what you want about it, but like he really kind of pulled that out of like Monica Bellucci and
yeah, I will say Monica
Bellucci
Bellucci does do great in this movie.
I've
only taken the piss out of her because it's Monica Bellucci, but just because like she's the only one in the movie that I know outside of like this. Like everybody else in this that I know from this, like Jim Caviezel and stuff. But
so they lift him up.
They lift him up. They crucify him. Well, he's already been crucified, but this is kind of the last
done
stage.
been crucified.
And now McGlamazon, bitch, ready for one.
But at the end of the night, Lucifer did not have like the session.
But yeah, so this is like where we see, this is like the classic image of Jesus and the two crosses beside him. I used to draw this all the fucking time when I was a kid.
Because you're a freak, it's okay.
I am. That's fine.
It is what it is.
I mean, look, I've had to do a lot of weird shit to earn that title.
Yep.
You know?
And you, darling, you do it so well.
Thank you. I say sitting here in my mullet and my cheerleader shorts, holding a crucifix, wearing a Pazuzu shirt. But yeah, this is like that classic image where, like, you've seen it a million times. It's Jesus on the top of Golgotha with the two other prisoners beside him, and
the shit demon just coming up on
but like Jesus is just purple, like he's just one big wound, you know. And we get one prisoner on one side who's basically like, fuck you, you know, he agrees with all the other people. And then
you deserve to be up here just the same as me. Exactly.
Like, he's like kind of thinking like, why are you so important, you know? And then the other one is basically like, oh
yo,
my
I
God.
know who you are.
Like, yeah, like, don't forget me. You know, like, we don't know what they did. I'm sure we could find out if we ask some of your old friends. If we go back far enough in your diary.
Unfortunately, most of them are passed on.
If we go far back enough in your diary, you have to get the wooden.
Did away with most of them.
Have to get the stone slabs out. And then Jesus is basically like, I got you, bro. Like, you're okay. But it's also kind of like, you're really gonna ask Jesus for a favor right now? I'm being crucified, bro.
Bro, wrong moment.
You know, like, you're being crucified. I'm also right here.
Wrong moment. Do you think I know that? Because I am not the one right now.
Jesus fully just like
door hinge.
And he's fucking the record scratches. Like, you fucking
are you
serious,
for
bro?
real?
I never miss. And so this is where we get like this evanescence ass shot where it's from the sky, and I was waiting for it, where this, like, the image kind of ripples up and then it becomes a raindrop and it falls to the floor, but it's so just like,
how can you see?
Yeah, exactly. It literally is. It's exactly that.
Wake me up.
For like half the color grading in this is like what an American movie shows what Mexico looks like, where it's all yellow and brown, and then the other is like grey and it looks like a Saw movie.
Yeah. Well, the one part that I really, really love about the moment is the fact that obviously when Jesus is stabbed with the spear of destiny,
oh, you love it?
Yo, that is fucking real, by the way. Hitler owned it for a while. It's currently in Poland, I think.
It also becomes what movie is it that it it's
Constantine.
Yeah, it is Constantine, where they find it in like Mexico or something. Yeah.
I'm also super excited to see number 2 of that.
I know, right? That was another
that
pretty
was a
cool
fucking gem of a movie.
Tilda Swinton needs to play an angel more often.
Bro,
slaps. And what's his fucking name? Peter something that plays Satan in that movie in just a white suit and red eyeliner. It's so good.
That's
what I'm saying. That's the great way to do Satan, is to just have Satan kind of be a dude.
Yeah.
You know,
but slightly
have Satan
off.
have Satan either be a dude or have Satan be a giant red like dragon or something. Like, either go extravagant or just have Satan be an angel.
Yeah, subtle.
You know,
subtle.
Tilda Swinton with a big set of wings and just like her foot wrapped up,
you know,
with the two little Gabriel curls and stuff. God, Tilda Swinton is so hot.
But is the eruption of the temple on the Temple Mount.
The miniature that splits in half so easily. I hate how it looks. But the Pharisees are just like, shit.
It's the moment where they realise, oh, fuck.
And the lead Pharisee like breaks down in tears. And he's like reaching up to the sky because it's like, you know what you did.
Yeah.
But also, then it's like, it goes into the Judas thing of like, well, you're destined to do that because like without Jesus dying in this way, the story could not continue in the way that it's supposed to. So it's like, are they condemned to do that, or could they have chosen otherwise? Because like otherwise, like this book would have gone a whole lot differently if Jesus wasn't crucified. Like I wouldn't.
Jesus lives, part 2.
But yeah, exactly. Like I
know part 3 because it's the New Testament.
But like I wouldn't be holding this fucking thing in my hand if it didn't go that way.
Did you ever see that painting of the nativity scene with the crucifix in the background?
No, exactly. But in that same one, somebody's like selling Jesus merch. There's like a
like, shout out to the guy who's selling Jesus merch at the crucifixion.
I would love that, selling stones or whatever, like in Life of Brian.
Well, the one thing that you...
I have 2 big ones and a small one.
and a packet of pebbles.
Yeah, they have it.
Jehovah! Jehovah!
They have it in like cones, like chips or whatever. You know.
I want to be a woman.
I want to be called Loretta.
God, they were so far.
I want to have
ahead of their
babies.
time.
Yeah.
You can't have babies. You need
I
a
know,
womb.
but you should have
Don't
the
you
right
oppress
to,
me.
You should have the right to have babies, even if you can't. You know.
Oh my God.
I loved that
that
movie
was
as a
so far ahead of its time.
I loved that movie as a kid, mainly because it's one of the only movies I was allowed to watch where you get to see a man's penis.
Oh,
He
the
steps
old
out.
guy?
No,
Yeah.
the old guy.
Yeah,
also, he steps out when Brian steps out. He's just naked, and everybody's there.
Oh, in the 80s.
He's not the Messiah. He's just a very naughty boy. You know.
He's not the Messiah.
But yeah, we get to see a naked man. We get to see Brian naked.
And Satan in a fucking comet crater.
Oh yeah, that I love that depiction now.
So this is something that you
Dickus.
pointed intercontinental connoviae.
I need to watch that soon.
Well, this is one thing that you pointed out that I did not notice at all, was that Judas, Lucifer is screaming and crying from his own crater.
It is. It's a point of impact. What is it? A point of impact.
In
Point of impact.
point of impact.
Impact de point. But yeah, it's Satan, and in the most kind of monstrous form that we've seen him in so far. The mouth is kind of a little bit
Just
distended,
drops longer.
and like the hands are long, and it's like Satan is being like pushed down by wind, because Satan is just kind of like losing his mind. But it's a crater. We get to see like it's all this like dry like like a salt lake kind of thing where the ground is split, and then when it pans out you can see that it's a point of impact, so we get to see where Satan fell.
I love the idea, or at least it was in my thought process, that when Satan was screaming, every other demon in the area was like running for cover.
God damn
some
it.
shit.
Yeah,
Like,
because hell is empty here.
Exactly.
We don't get to see anything. It just looks like this barren, like it's nowhere else we've seen in the movie, so it's somewhere else. But I actually really like that idea, that all the other, because this is Satan at his angriest, like ever.
And it's like
Satan has failed.
There's a strange kind of like mandolin. It's a Chinese instrument.
Yeah.
And it only has like one string, and it's done with a fiddle.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so good. I thought it was a great, and that's actually one thing we really need to talk about, is the soundtrack.
The horns and the
soundtrack
flutes
fucking sells it to me.
It is. It's like when Jesus is dead, like officially. I know. Well, does Jesus die officially? Oh yeah, no. Jesus does die officially before the temple splits, or before he gets the.
When he goes, the Father,
spear.
it is done. Forgive them; they don't know what they do.
He
all that
prays
kind of
for
thing.
you.
He prays for you, and even the guards were fucking betting on when he would die.
But the guards are also kind of like, oh
Yeah, the guy who stabs him with the spear of destiny, he
it
goes
sounds
like,
so made up. You know what I mean?
He does it to ensure that Jesus is dead, because they couldn't leave the area.
Well, they say
until
like hurry the
everyone
fuck
was
up,
dead.
because that's why they just take the sledgehammer and they misery the fuck out of the other two guys, and Jesus is officially dead. The way this shot is, though, it's just like, like it's not like a regular stab movie. It looks like Jesus is hollow almost.
Yeah,
because they stab it up through.
And
I think he does it twice. Or no, he does it once.
He does this thing where he goes
and
like
then
this,
and then he pulls it out,
yeah.
and then Jesus just sprays a bunch of blood.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say like Jesus did it on.
Yeah.
Where like this blood just spurts out all over this Roman soldier, and he just like and
he just collapses to the ground.
It's like you get this sense that then and there he was convinced that Jesus exactly that Jesus was who Jesus says he was. And then the whole earth shakes, and we just get these like huge borderline Colin Stetson horns of just like, these are the like sounds of the horns of angels, you know, and it's like, it's done, like this is it, you know.
That's exactly what he says as he's dying. It is.
This is officially when things have become BC. Or no.
AD.
AD, yeah.
Anno Domini.
Yeah.
But like even like when he says he's even comforting his mother, he's like, "Look, mother, I make things all in you," and
she kisses his
doesn't
bloody feet, and she's got this like.
The long.
I noticed she doesn't actually. We don't actually get to see him kiss or her kiss his feet because she puts her hand up like this because it's like, I'm not fucking kissing.
I think she just kind of rolls her face against it or something.
It's like on her mouth like this. It's like, I'm not fucking Mel. Look, I know you're the director, but I'm not kissing Jim's feet.
And then you get the Pieta iconic moment of Mary just cradling Jesus after he's been taken
I've shown you
down.
my bloody Pieta that I made, didn't I?
No.
I have a Pieta statue in there, but I wanted it to look kind of accurate, so I painted it so it's really bloody.
But obviously we get the iconic shot of Jesus. The tomb, it's kind of a long shot of the door rolling away from the tomb.
It's Easter, y'all!
And Jesus is sort of, he's not on... Oh!
It's a superhero movie.
It's the moment where the shroud
it collapses in on itself. Yeah,
and Jesus is sitting next to it.
Yeah,
and he looks up and walks.
It's such a superhero shot, though, is it not? It's the moment where like Spider-Man realizes he's Spider-Man, or like when somebody realizes their power and he stands up, and we just get this we get the shot of the holes in the hands, like we get the stigmata shot or whatever, and then
but no dick shot though.
No dick shot. He's naked though. We get to see like bare hips.
Ass
So I'm like,
cheek.
he's naked as fuck in this, bro. Show me Jesus' cock. Sorry. I'm sorry. We don't get enough skirt shot from Jesus. But yeah, that's kind of Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
Have I convinced you?
I'm gonna be honest. No.
Not that it's a horror movie, but that it belongs on the podcast. Because I don't wholeheartedly believe that it's a horror movie.
I'm gonna give you a soft nod.
Okay, but it's a macabre movie, and there are intentional scenes to inspire fear. Oh, this movie is like made to inspire fear as well as awe.
Yeah.
So I think that qualifies it enough to be on the podcast.
We should do an episode about like biblically accurate angels. We got to talk about
Yeah.
that shit because that is meant to inspire fear.
And just talk about my costume for like 3 hours.
Be not afraid.
I literally had Nathan put on like a prayer by Madonna as I entered that party.
Just like a prayer.
That was so good.
Iconic.
That was such a good night. I had to walk sideways through so many door frames. I couldn't walk out. I had
and
a
yet
wingspan.
you still couldn't see a fucking thing with all those eyes.
I had a fucking wingspan of like 2.5, 3 feet or something like that. I had 6 wings. You know? Oh, I looked so good. I don't give a fuck. I think that's like one of my peak Halloween costumes.
The fuck? Get your fucking tires checked. Prick. I don't know.
Whatever.
Anyway.
And so that was Passion of the Christ.
Passion de
De
Cristo.
Cristo.
So next week.
It sure is.
Okay. So next week we have... Oh, the microphone's over there. I forgot.
Hello.
Hello. So nächste Woche wir haben einen Film für gesehen.
You gotta say it in Italian.
That's German. We're gonna do... I'm going to skip a couple years and I'm going to watch the first one that I saw in the franchise. Because it was the first one that I saw.
Have we already done the original?
No, we haven't.
Really?
No, we haven't. We've never gotten to it.
Fuck. Okay.
We're doing 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, y'all.
Woo! One of the only genuinely really good remakes.
It was good. I fucking enjoyed it. Will I say
liked
it's
it
a
a lot.
remake or is it reimagining?
It's totally a remake.
Oh, fair enough.
It's, what is it, Platinum Dunes? It's like the first of the
Yeah.
Platinum Dunes remakes. I like it. I don't give a shit.
Failed miserably. But it was panned by critics. It was panned by fans. Of course, they were just going to hold on to Toby Hooper's version.
I think people have come around to it, though. I'm an avid defender of the remake.
I enjoyed it.
really good.
For what it was, I fucking enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So next week, 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, bitches.
I think perhapsably teaser week after something easy and something relaxed. I'm going to propose Perfect Blue.
What the fuck is that?
It's an anime. It's kind of
An anime?
anime. It's kind of
Careful, your whiteness. Your
It's
white
kind
people
of
showing.
Yeah, but it's how you say it. My Japanese learning actually came into use the other day. Me and Aurora were watching iCarly.
Really, that's so fantastic. Get back to this film.
No, and Spencer was watching it. Spencer bought a Japanese lamp, and you have to say lamp for it to turn on, and he just kept saying lamp, and they figured what was the Japanese for lamp, and jokingly I said arampu, and it was right.
Cool.
That's what it is. So many Japanese words are just English words in a Japanese accent.
So what's Perfect Blue about?
Toilet paper in Japanese is toilet paper. Perfect Blue is kind of half Suspiria, half Black Swan, half a David Lynch movie, but as an anime. It's gorgeous, though. You'll love it. It was panned by critics. It was panned by fans. But
Yeah,
I think
whatever,
they were
which,
just really
however.
hoping onto Toby Hooper.
So you've been listening to
They're here.com. We need a Squarespace.
.co.uk /
Don't talk to me like that. .ie .org .net .auz .nz .dk
.ne.
Oh no, China doesn't have websites. No, not anymore. Not after last time.
So make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram for some daily updated content, and comment below what you'd like to chat about us next.
Also, I'm going to put a poll up. Let me know if you think this movie is appropriate for the podcast or no. Does it fit in? I'll only take it seriously if you've actually seen the movie. Okay?
Bitch.
You bitch.
You baby. You
Bitch.
You
This baby loser bitch.
little virgin birth baby. You.